Good afternoon and welcome to look at the customer journey and a little bit about how target audience is something that you really should look at. My name is Dante St James. Today coming to you from the Aurora Hotel in Alice Springs in my room. Nice and air conditioned. It's about 37 degrees out there today, so I'm not too keen to be out on the balcony just now. Let's share the screen and we will get underway. Today, we're going to do this in two parts, which is the first part is determining the audience you would like to reach. And the second part being all around about what the customer journey is like. So what that feels like and how you can sort of insert yourself into that customer journey as well. This material is provided by Facebook Australia and New Zealand, but in partnership too with the Australian Small Business Advisory Services Digital Solutions Program, partnered by Business Station in Western Australia, Regional Development Australia, Brisbane in Queensland, and Treaty Business Consulting in the Northern Territory. Be aware though, you can, as part of this program, also access your one-to-ones. So if you want a one-to-one session with myself or any of the other people who are part of this program, some amazing advisors out there, just go to businessstation.com.au and you can begin the process there of getting your, if you've never had a one-to-one before, your first one's free, so take advantage of that. And otherwise, $44 for your second, and any follow-up ones up to 24 hours of total exposure to the program, including things like webinars, is $66 for that one-to-one. So it's a lot cheaper than what our hourly rate generally is. You can also view this again on YouTube later on. If you miss anything or you have to pop off, that's okay. I'll have it on the Business Station channel by sort of late this afternoon, and also in my own channel at Dante St James on YouTube. So an introduction to me for the purposes of this, if you haven't met me before, I work as a lead trainer for Facebook Australia and New Zealand. I also have certain other certifications with them and Google and with a whole bunch of other areas as well. But let's just say today, I'm from Facebook with a Treaty t-shirt on, not confusing at all. So this particular lesson is going to prepare us to understand what a target audience happens to be. We're going to look at understanding why it's important for you to have a target audience for your business, if that's not already completely obvious. And then finally, creating a target audience for your business. So selecting what that target happens to be. So we're talking about demographics. We're talking about all that kind of stuff. If you do have questions, I might have to save those for the end because I can't actually see them. PowerPoint kind of takes over my whole screen. I can't see anything else but myself and the screen that is showing the particular thing here. So if you do ask some questions, please pop them in there by all means in the Q&A bubble, and I'll be able to answer those a little bit later on for you. So let's take a look at a garden design company. So they're called Lucky Shrub. Lucky Shrub does a lot of very beautifully presented plants, indoor plants, outdoor plants. Succulents are very much their specialty. Small plants is what they like to do, but they also do small gardens and small plants because they don't want to deal with massive things, massive landscaping programs, just backyards and side passages and front yards for people. And those indoor gardens that are becoming so popular, especially in parts of the world that are going through lockdown. Poor Melbourne this morning hearing that news. Wow, that's not like they haven't been through enough already. So Lucky Shrub's team wants to reach a certain kind of customer who's interested in planting what they call a home garden. So a home garden is things like you'll see on the right here in their Instagram account. You can see it's like little shelves of stuff. There's displays they've got inside. I'm looking to build one myself. If only Lucky Shrub was a real business in my neighborhood, I could probably do that. But when I get back home into Darwin, this is one of the things I'll be doing is building myself a nice little indoor plant garden so I can really enjoy the space I'm in. So because you're a small business, and you're not like a multi-million-dollar multinational, you've got to be super, super careful with how you spend your marketing time and your marketing budget. You can't just keep throwing money at problems and hoping that will work, because eventually, yes, it will have some sort of impact. It will move the needle a little bit. But the biggest thing you've got to face as a small business, and me too as one, is that you have to get a return on your investment. So you need to be super, super careful about the kind of things you're spending your money on, and the kind of budget you're going to put together for it as well. And there's not only that, you need to budget for your time. Marketing takes you time to learn how to do it, to go and do it, to go and review it, to report on it, to do all that. So you have to be super careful with that, especially as a small business, because the costs can get out of control really, really super quickly. So when we look at, say, a whole population of people, you're not necessarily looking at reaching every single person in that population. You don't necessarily need to reach all these people. You just might pick some that seem to be the people that you want to reach, because they're the ones who either have the right location to be using your service, they have the right interests to be using your service, or they might be of the right age or gender to be using the particular thing that you want to do. Not everybody's going to be looking to buy promise rings, but if you sell promise rings, perhaps aiming at a particular kind of person could help. And also, not everyone is going to do an indoor garden as well. People who've got big houses, their gardens are outside. People who live in city blocks, for them, the garden could be something they bring inside. So then you can sort of specialize into the kind of target market you want to have. It's pretty important to focus on those people who are the most likely to become your customers. Not just everybody, not like, TV and radio advertising traditionally has been quite hit and miss. You just throw spaghetti at a wall and see what sticks. You get it out to as many people. They use the term called reach and frequency. The reach is as many people as you can reach as many times as possible. So that's always been the advertising, I guess, slogan, is reach as many as you can, as many times as you can. When it comes to digital marketing, because of the highly targeted nature of it, and because we can sort of look at what people's interests are a lot more closely, then you've got the opportunity to be able to focus on the people who are most likely to become customers rather than just everyone. So we think about Lucky Shrub and what they would do. The target audience is a specific group of people that you want to reach with your marketing message. So again, like TV and radio, just throw it out to everyone, and hopefully the people who are interested happen to be watching The Masked Singer or the Married at First Sight at the time you're doing it. Or you do it this way. So you get them when they're online, using the apps they're always using, the networks they're always using, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the TikToks, the Pinterests, the Google, whatever you want to be on. That's always going to be a part of targeting your audience. It doesn't matter what platform it is. If there's a digital marketing platform, it has a certain capability to target. Things like LinkedIn have an amazing ability to be able to target people based on the things they do during the daylight hours, their job, their business, that kind of thing. So people in a target audience tend to have some common characteristics about it. It could be their demographics, as in their age, their gender. It could be their interests. So they could be people who have an interest in being a crazy indoor plant person. They could have an interest in succulents. They could have an interest in health and well-being, perhaps. People who tend to have a lot of health and well-being in their diets, in their lives, also happen to really enjoy the whole idea of indoor plants. So that might be a good target for you. There's also certain behaviors, and I apologize for American spelling there, as it wasn't my material, but they will have certain things that they will do. Demographics, so the age, the location, the gender, the interests, the things they really like to do, and the behaviors are things that we can track within the Facebook family of apps that tell us what are the things that people tend to be behaving like. Are they behaving like a small business owner? Now, that could be a very important demographic for you to reach, because there's sort of people who will be buying things if you're selling to businesses, right? That is actually a target audience you can reach in Facebook and Instagram. The other ones could be people who are engaged shoppers. Engaged shoppers mean people who are quite likely to buy things they see advertised as a buy now button on Facebook and Instagram and other apps as well. So demographics, interests, we get that, and behaviors all form part of what we find as the reason for why you would target specific things. Again, your demographics are the things about where they are and who they are, interests about what they like, behaviors about the things that they get up to. The beautiful thing about forming your marketing strategy moving forward is that you don't have to target just one. If you have multiple kinds of people, you can have multiple kinds of target audiences, even if you're using the ads platform, or thinking about when you're doing your posts as well, not just the ads, but the posts to your particular Instagram profile or your Facebook business page. So what you'll tend to have is a primary target audience. That primary target audience is all about being the most important, the most likely, the most likely person who is going to be buying your indoor plants or your jewelry or your services or booking your tour, right? Then you'll always have a secondary target. That secondary target is someone who isn't the person most likely, but they also display an interest in what you do, in your product or in your service. So I just need to get a tissue here because I've got a runny nose that just happens to have popped up right in the middle of this. So I'll just mute myself out so you don't have to go through the horror of hearing me blow my nose. It's not even that time of the year yet. It must be an allergy. My apologies. So you can have one or more than one target. The primary one obviously is going to be the person who you're going to probably spend the most time and the energy trying to reach. But your secondary is the person who also has a demonstrated interest in what you do. Every marketing plan you have, every business plan you have should cater to both your primary target and your secondary target as well. So let's just say that our primary target for Lucky Shrub is garden designers, because garden designers are the most likely people to be buying those particular plants, right? Because they're actually putting together the design and then potentially building out that garden design as well. So a garden designer might be your primary, but then you might have people who are DIY gardeners. They own a garden of their own and they're not getting someone in to do the work for them. They're doing it themselves. They're designing it themselves. They're going to buy the plants themselves. They're doing it all on their own. But then there could be other people who we call container gardeners. And these are people who are growing food within containers and hydroponic lab setups, right? They're a very, very specific group of people. There's not a lot of them here in Australia, but they do exist. The kind of people who set up, productive urban food gardens in, it could be in basements, it could be on rooftops, it could be on balconies, it could, and in this case, in containers. These are kind of people who run gardens that are not in the traditional garden setting. Your primary person could be the garden designer. Your secondary person could be the garden DIYer. And then you might have a tertiary or a secondary gardener, which is your container gardener. So what a really good thing to lay out is a little bit of a go down paper and set out a name of your target audience, and then to get behind what the need of that target audience is. Now, for those, I don't know if there's anyone on here who's done it, but I did I'm in the middle of a traveling roadshow at the moment with helping tourism businesses to do some of exactly this stuff. Work out who their target audience really is and how to get inside the heads of those target audience members so they can see, now I understand what it is these people actually want, so I know how to serve them better and reach them. So part of this is knowing what your target audience is, knowing what the need is, what the core, what we call pain point is a common term for that, the pain point of that target audience is, and then listing out a bit of an avatar or a character that fits who that is. What age are they, for instance? Are they 23 years old and just finishing university? Are they perhaps 35 years old with 2 kids and a mortgage? Or are they 45 years old going into their 3rd career and now doing a work from home gig, growing food for the local food co-op? Then you look at what their gender is. Are they more likely to be men or women, or does it not matter? It just doesn't matter which one it is. It's quite often we have people like coaches and mindset and wellness people who just want to work with women like themselves because they feel more comfortable doing that and they feel that they can relate more closely to that. Likewise, a lot of men feel they can work better with men. I work mostly with women myself, but in that case, I might be the exception rather than the rule. Then setting up a household income. Now, the reason why you look at a household income is because you want to know whether they can afford your product. If you're targeting someone with a particular income level, now in Australia, we can't target this in the Facebook ads platform. In America, they still can. It's considered to be a privacy violation here in Australia, and probably rightly so. You can at least set a target, you say, for a household income. That will give you an idea of whether this person is a DIYer, they're going to do it themselves to save money, whether there's someone who employs a gardener to come and do it for them, or whether there's someone who's actively making money out of their garden, so may have a very big vested interest in the productivity of that garden. Then leveling their education or what they do for work also gives you an idea of their capability to pay for the service that you provide, or even do they have the time to deal with the service that you provide. Very super busy people who work night shifts are probably not going to meet you out in the garden on a Saturday morning to talk about your garden design. So you've got to know what the behaviors are of people. And then of course the location. If you're a local business and you're based in Kununurra in northwest Western Australia, you're not likely to serve people in Perth. Likewise, if you're in Emerald, you're not going to serve people in Cairns. If you're in Cairns, you're not going to deal with people in Brisbane. If you're in Perth, you're not necessarily going to go down to Esperance and service a customer there. And then finally, we look at their interests and their behaviors. Now, part of building this avatar is allowing you to understand that if her name is Becky and she is 35 with 2 kids and a mortgage. She's a woman. Her household income between her and her husband is currently around about $150,000 a year. They're both university educated and located in Geraldton in Western Australia. Then you've got a picture in your head of the kind of person that you're trying to target. This is called building a customer persona or a customer avatar. It's a really powerful mindset trick for yourself so you know that every time that you go to create a piece of marketing material, a post that goes on Facebook, a TikTok that goes out on TikTok, any of that sort of stuff, then you know that you're actually pointing that to the right person. Is the right person even on TikTok? Do they even use Instagram? Or are they just dyed-in-the-wool Facebook group users who are not likely to see your ad on things like stories? That gives you an idea and a filter that you have to put in front of everything you do that makes you ensure that you are always pointing your content to the right people, and your ads if you're going to go into the ads platform as well. So how do you come up with these target audiences? You know, you could, okay, this is the kind of person I want to work with. This is the kind of person who is more profitable to work with. Usually as small business owners, we tend to target ourselves towards the kind of customers who we like to deal with. They're often a little bit like us, really. So what you'll look at is assess your current customers. Who are the people that you go, that is the perfect kind of customer I want all the time? So that could be a combination of, this person is friendly when I deal with them. They are someone who I can communicate easily with because we have a lot in common. That might be important to you. Or it could be someone who is, there's someone who easy to upsell to. So every time they come in to buy a plant, they walk out with 3 plants, because you can easily just know, you're not trying to manipulate them to buying more, but you realize that they're trying to fill a balcony and they've got 1 plant that's going to take 3 years for that to grow big enough. You might want to have 3 in order to fill out that particular space on your balcony. That's a really common way of doing it. You look at who are the people who are profitable, who are the people who are pleasant to deal with, and who are the people that you really want to serve as well. It sort of lets you know that there's a financial impact if you don't choose the profitable ones. There's an emotional impact on you if you don't choose to target towards customers who you feel like you can relate to and easily serve. And of course, who wants to get, you know, that typical Ken or Karen walking in the door and complaining about everything and wanting to see the manager? We don't want to live our lives in that sort of state. No way, you look at it as monitor your competitors. You've got a competitor in your neighborhood. If you've got a physical shop, look who goes in their shop. You can shop in their shop too, as you like. It doesn't have to be spying across the road with a set of binoculars. It's just looking at the kind of things that they appeal to. Now, if that seems a little bit too 007 to you, it's okay. You can dial that down a bit and be a little more subtle by simply watching what they do on their social media. It's a really great way. If they are very, very successful, then chances are they're doing some great things on social media as well. So look at the kind of people who interact with them. Look at the kind of interactions that people are having with them. And then you can see that their particular content that they're sending out, or their ads that they're sending out, are speaking to a specific demographic or a type of person. So you can then go, oh, okay, I now know if I want to reach those people, I probably need to do something similar to this, but with my own flavor. Another good way is to talk to people. Just ask people, whether they're customers or not, friends or family, saying, what do you think I'm doing wrong here that I could be doing better? What are the things you reckon I'm doing right so I can double down and do more of that? And then there's all the standard sort of research, like focus groups. Very few of us are ever going to run a focus group, but it can be a very powerful way to sit a bunch of people down and say, okay, is this a thing you would pay for? Is this a thing you would do? Running surveys, you can run them easily on Google Forms and do them for free. You can do little polls just in your Facebook page as well. Running interviews with people and in-home studies, that can be a little bit full on for most of us as small businesses. Maybe just surveys and maybe some polls on your page. That might be enough to tell you some of the information that you really, really want to know. Now, as we start to go back to our target audience again, we start to see, okay, we're getting a clearer idea now of who that is. We've got the name of that target audience. It could be DIY renovators. It could be people who like to outsource. And then understanding the need of that target audience, their age, gender, you've now got a picture of who you think your target actually is going to be. So as we start to fill this out, The need of the target audience is to plan or plant a garden. They're between 35 and 54. Any gender, doesn't really matter. Household income of 175,000 plus. University graduate located, let's just say not Tucson, Arizona. Let's pick a place, any place, Sunshine Coast, Queensland, right? Then we can start to look at some more of the stuff that's around them, like their interests. They've got a natural interest in landscape architecture, a natural interest in modern design. So the chances are not going to do a classic hedge style garden. They're going to do something a little bit more contemporary. They are someone who's into gardening, but particularly into plants that are native to the area they're in. It's one of those funny things you see when you go and see gardens in different parts of Australia. Gardens in a place like, suburban Victoria tend to be quite formal around lawns, fences, hedges, a lot of flowering plants. But then I'm in Alice Springs at the moment, and the gardens here are largely based on river gums, ghost gums, like things that can provide quite a lot of shade and give a lot of shelter to birds, but also things that are highly drought tolerant. Alice Springs is in this like a very small fertile spot that's in the middle of a giant desert called Australia, right? So it's going to be very, very different. Lots of flowering plants, not many of those really exist here. I look out the front, I can see like a desert bulbrush. I can see saltbush across the road on what is called the Todd River, which is a dry riverbed pretty much just about all the time. It ran 2 weeks ago. It actually had water going through it, and it's already dry again. So it goes to show you the kind of landscape we're dealing. So if you're looking at that, native plants will do really well here. Succulents will do really well here, but planting roses and azaleas and camellias, probably not going to do too great. Behaviors could be something which is around the things that they did recently, such as purchasing a home. They might watch reality shows about home improvement, like The Block. They might read magazines that have got to do with, grand designs and architectural magazines, or they may actually be people who browse the web for design ideas. Once we get in the head of who this person is, we get a real sense of who they are and what their motivations are. So as we move on from that, then we start to go, okay, we understand who this is. We're going to call them garden designers, because they are the usual person. The average person doesn't really buy architectural magazines, or browse the design ideas around the web, or go to Pinterest and collect pins on other garden designs. They usually want to do their design, they move on, they get over it, but they don't display an ongoing behavior of that. So we can say, okay, here is our garden designer. We've got a picture of him in our head. We know who he or she is. So we now know who we're starting to target. So another example would be a hair and beauty salon called Hair Day. These guys are actually real. A hair and beauty salon specializing in edgy colors and modern looks, working extensively with women of color, which is definitely something that sets them apart from most other Instagram influency kind of salons and stuff, right? So if you use the right channels to reach and connect with your customers, you've got a far better chance of actually reaching them than, say, for instance, aiming for that right customer, but going to the wrong place to do it. So Hair Team wants to reach their customers who are interested in their home hair dye kits. Now, in the COVID world, that's quite common, because I think you probably remember, if you're in a place that did have lockdowns and all that, not so much in Queensland, Western Australia, and the Northern Territory, but let's pretend for a moment we're in Victoria or New South Wales, where getting your hair done was actually something you couldn't get done. So the idea of being able to put together a quality, very personalized home hair dye kit could have been a very good idea for them. All those people who, all those poor women who do their hair, like almost like a religious thing, doing their nails and that sort of thing. I honestly feel for them having to gone through lockdown, because that pattern is broken. And then the kind of presentation you like to have of yourself is not quite possible. So Zoom calls become this moment of horror when you have to go, how can I make myself look good when I haven't done my hair? I haven't had access to all the things I normally have access to. It's really hard to go through. I saw it with one of the highest ranking executives who's based in Melbourne earlier this year during, it was October business month, from the National Australia Bank, the NAB. And she is probably the second or third highest ranked person within that bank. And she had to get on there and then apologize, say, look, I haven't had my hair done for nearly 3 months. It's not the way I like it to be. So I'm just tying it back, and, I'm sorry, but you'll just have to deal with me looking like this. And it was such an amazing moment for her to go through. A powerful woman then wanting to tap into an idea that she should look a certain way. So if we're going to do this same kind of process, we're going to find that target audience for Hair Day. We then look at the same stuff: the name of the target audience, what their need is, what their demographics are, their interests, and their behaviors. So if we do that same thing, this is someone who is looking for a fun, non-traditional, or very bold hair color. This is an empowered woman who is not necessarily someone who's earning the biggest wage in the world. So she's going to be a young professional working her way up, and she could be located somewhere like, let's just say, Newstead in Queensland, in Brisbane in Queensland. So an up and coming area, quite high demographic, but she's probably in a share house or a share apartment with a lot of other people. She's got a little bit of money to spend, but not a huge amount of it to spend, right? And the interest could be that she does have an interest in everything Kardashian, like fashion and Kylie Jenner and all that, hair and nail trends, celebrity style. She does read fashion magazines when she's waiting to be served at Coles and Woolies. And she follows a lot of fashion and beauty influencer related Instagram accounts and YouTube accounts, right? She's got a bit of a thing that she likes to shop local. So we know that she does tend to deal with most local things and wants to support local business. So we call them edgy young professionals. They've got an edge to them. They're up and coming, and they've got a little bit of disposable income, not a huge amount of it though. So in this customer targeting that we're looking at doing, the key takeaways would be that obviously a target audience will help you to focus marketing efforts on those people who are most likely to be interested in the thing you're selling, whether that's a product that's physical or whether it's a service of something you do for people. Secondly, describing your target audience in a very simple template that we saw. So I'll go back on that sort of template. That helps you to outline who your customer is, what their demographics are, how to target them down to the point where you run that as a filter through everything that you put on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. Name the platform here and there, whatever you use to be able, even to the point of printing flyers. Who is the person that's going to read it? Make sure that the person who reads it is going to be able to accept the format that you're giving them and can actually understand and react to the thing you're trying to react to there. So what I'll do now is I'll flip over to our second presentation, which is all about the customer journey and understanding how the customer journey works, and how knowing that your target audience is now a thing that you understand, you can take that target audience into your customer journey and do so much better at reaching the kind of audience that you want to reach. So let me bring this one up, not that one. We're reaching PowerPoint. This is not going to be smooth. My apologies for this. And we start slideshow now, and I'll just quickly share that with you as well. I usually have access to a lot more screens, so it does make it a lot more easy to be able to share these things. Here we go. So what we're going to do is map the customer journey out and see how you can understand what the process is that your customer goes through to get from where they are to where you want them to be. So what we're going to do is define what a customer journey is, describe how that customer journey relates to the things that you're going to do as a marketer, and then create a bit of a map for the journey that your customer is going to take for you. So let's take this jewelry company. They sell high-end jewelry and diamond engagement rings, Mangata & Gallo, and they do most of their sales online, but they also have a small storefront. So they are a physical bricks and mortar, but these days, most of the sales they're doing happen to be online. Their goal is they want to reach new customers who are looking for an engagement ring. So you can imagine with that target audience we're looking at, we get a pretty good idea of what that target audience may be, understanding what the demographic is, understanding what their age group tends to be, where they're located, if you give them a physical location, or whether it's something that they're willing to take the risk of ordering online. So we looked at the target audience. We understood the demographics, the interests and behaviors that they showed as part of that target audience. We understand though, we also need to get them to your product. So there's steps that they go through, from being a customer who's sitting out there who doesn't know anything about you, through to being someone who's got their product in their hands, or at least have ordered that product, to get it to come through to them. So Mangata & Gallo want to know a bit about how to and when to begin their marketing efforts and how to reach their potential customers. So as they start to look at that, that process, they start to bear a few things in mind. They've got an idea of who their target audience is, but they now know that they've got to begin at some point to apply those marketing efforts and know how they're going to reach that potential customer. Because I guess the target audience is very theoretical, but once the rubber hits the road and you actually want to do the whole, okay, I'm ready to now do this thing for real, that's when you have to execute that marketing plan. So the customer journey then refers to the experiences that people have along the way before they decide to purchase your product or your service. And it's a pretty solid definition we've now got after 150 years of solid marketing journey and how the human brain works. We understand the customer journey goes through 3 stages. The first one being awareness, the second one being consideration, and the third one being conversion. We'll explain all those a little bit more thoroughly in a second, but this forms what is often called a sales funnel. You see, it's shaped like a funnel. There's more people in the awareness stage, then only a few of those go on to the consideration stage. There's only a few people in the consideration stage, but even fewer of those go on to convert from being someone who knows nothing about you at the top of the funnel to being someone who buys something from you at the bottom of the funnel. It's just progresses one to the next to the next. So we'll break them up into awareness, consideration, and conversion. In awareness, this is where you'll actually start to introduce what your products and services are to an audience that doesn't really know you. They don't understand you. They've not dealt with you before. They are people who have no idea who you are, right? Then it might be a bit of general information about you as a business so that you can help people to become not only aware of who you are, but they start to get used to who you are. And so you become a fixture in their lives at some point so that when they come across, say, a search result in Google for you, they feel a little bit more trust towards you. Say, oh, I've heard of them. I know who they are. I feel safer dealing with them because I've seen them before. It's just a natural human instinct to feel safer around the familiar, right? The consideration level is where you're going to communicate more about what the benefits of your product are. This is a person who now knows who you are. They now know that they want the thing that you sell. What they don't know yet is who they're going to buy that thing from. They haven't yet decided to buy it from you. They're now doing a bit of a shop around. Consideration means they're lining up 20 people who do what you do, and you're in the consideration of their thoughts. They're considering you, they're considering others. They're just not quite sure yet who it is they're going to sign on the dotted line with. What this is a really good opportunity to do is to outline what we call your differentiators. Your differentiators are those things that separate you from the pack. Say, for instance, that your differentiation could be that we have easy parking when you come to visit our store. Your differentiator could be, and these differentiators should be things that are of a benefit to the consumer, not a feature about you. So I'm not talking about things like we've been in operation for over 30 years, because honestly, no one really cares. You're being a family-owned business for 4 generations. Again, no one's really going to care about that. You care, I get that. What's the benefit to the customer with that? The benefit to, say, for instance, being a locally owned business and open for 30 years is that you know that you're safe dealing with us, because if anything goes wrong, we're going to be here tomorrow, just like we've been for 3 generations of our customers. There, that's a benefit, not just a feature. So if you can put those things forward in a way that presents as being a benefit to the customer, not just saying they're open 7 days, it's saying we're open 7 days so you can come and drop in and see us almost any time of the day up to 10 p.m. at night, which puts it into the convenience factor for that customer. At the conversion end of our sales funnel, this is where you're just doing flat out promotion. You're just saying things like, buy it now, get it before the end of February, buy it before the end of March and save 5%. There's a luxury sales tax coming in that's going to make it more expensive, so buy it now. Anything like that. It could be things like offers. It could be things like discounts. It can be things like just simply that we're running out of stock, and if you want yours, get it now. It's a lot more, to put it in that terms, a lot more high pressure, a lot more direct. It's less fluffy and feel good. It's less branding and more just buy the thing, okay? I've got the thing, just buy it, okay? So in the awareness stage, we look at that. We might use for the Mangatto and Gallo example, images of the rings and videos of customers trying on the rings. So you can sort of put yourself in there. So usually a ring is taken as a photo on a hand because it creates a context. So you can go, I can see it on a hand. I can see that on my hand. That's a really important stage to go through, because what it allows you to do is to put your product in the eyes and the world of that potential customer. So in the awareness stage, showing the product, showing the product out in the wild, being used, happy people trying on rings, all seems to be something that appeals to people who are very early in that buying stage. For the consideration stage, though, we're looking at pictures of, different cuts and settings of rings. We're doing a little bit more education about the things that you can do, the differentiators in there. Customer testimonials are also great for this, because when someone is going, I need an engagement ring, I'm buying an engagement ring, I just haven't decided where I'm buying that engagement ring from yet. That's when they're in that place where, okay, so I know I want it, I know I need it, I'm going to buy one anyway. Well, having a testimonial from someone just like your customer talking about the amazing experience they had could be something that's just really, really powerful to help get them across the line, to move them into that conversion stage of the funnel, excuse me. I don't know where all this has come from. Oh, damn you, strange weather. The conversion stage, though, is where you got something like a specific sale or a specific promotion, such as a Valentine's Day sale. That's an obvious one for this month, right? It's this Sunday. If you were going to be buying a ring, you better do it bloody now, because you're running out of time. It's 1 o'clock where I am, so 1:30 in Queensland. It's about 11:30 right now in Western Australia. You better get shopping if you're going to be buying an engagement ring for them. Or it could be something that's simply about free shipping offers that are made for purchases in, say, February, March, April, whatever that time is. These promotions are designed to get someone who is hot to trot to buy, and to give them that one final push that says, now here's a reason why you should choose us. We know we are being shopped around. We know you're comparing us to others. We're giving you this one amazing reason why you should do this with us. So when we look at the customer journey, the awareness, the consideration, the conversion, and putting that all in a picture that we can see and understand and work out how we're meant to move through it with our customer, we look at the when and the how of the awareness. So the when is, when will my customer be most receptive to becoming aware of products just like mine? So we're not saying when to advertise, we're just saying when is the time that you think is best for a customer to be receptive to receiving some kind of message that you are putting forward about your products or services. And then the how is, how could the customer become aware of my business and its products or services? So the when is about, are they at the point where they're ready to hear about me? And when they are ready to hear about me, what is the method I'm going to use to reach them? So we're talking about things like, am I going to reach them with an ad on Instagram? Am I going to reach them with an email newsletter that they've subscribed to? If they're in an email subscription, they probably already know who you are. So there's not really a great deal of unawareness there. But if it's something like, for instance, you might go, okay, if we're getting towards Valentine's Day, when we know traditionally there is a hell of a lot of engagement rings going to be picked up, we can advertise on something like television or radio to force that along a little bit. So someone goes, oh, yeah, I was considering doing that, where I'm asking her to marry me this year. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Let's do it for now. I'll get that, and I'll start looking at those and comparing now. The consideration part, much the same as a when and a how. When will my customer be ready to, and this is very different, learn more about my products? Not just be receptive, becoming aware of your products, but now at the point where they're ready to learn more about the attributes of your product, to be educated about what you do, about what your differentiators are. And then, of course, the same thing with the how. How are they going to find that information about your products once they're ready? Will it be on a billboard? Will it be through a letterbox drop? Will it be through posts on Instagram or Facebook? Will it be something that they have found through a shared article on LinkedIn? Or are you going to advertise through those platforms to get that message across to them? And then finally, with conversion, the same thing. When will my customer be now not ready to learn, not be most receptive to becoming aware? They are aware, they've learned the stuff. Now, when are they ready to make that purchase? Hit that buy now button, smash that thing, smash that buy now button and give me some money. And then how you're going to go through convincing them to hit that buy now button, or to walk into your store, or to call you, or book that discovery call with you if that's what you're doing as well. So in Mangata and Gallo's case, their awareness, consideration, and conversion journey, and their whens and hows could look a little bit like this. So the when would be the beginning of January because they're aiming for this whole rush of engagement rings at Valentine's Day. The how could be by sharing pictures and videos on Instagram of their particular rings with a Valentine's Day theme. Now, honestly, I couldn't think of anything worse than asking someone to marry me on the one day when everyone else is asking people to marry them. It feels like you drop to your knee in the middle of a restaurant on Valentine's Day, and then 15 other guys or girls are doing the same thing, right? I don't understand it, but it is a very real thing. Valentine's Day seems to be this thing where people ask other people to marry them. So the ads then will begin in the beginning of January to get people in the mindset of the idea of asking someone to marry them with a beautiful diamond ring on Valentine's Day, right? So we've got that bit. The second bit is that when is going to be in mid-January, so leading towards closer to Valentine's Day, where you're going to then put forward testimonials from customers who had very different engagement ring styles and have talked about them and said how much they love their Mangata and Gallo ring, how much they enjoyed doing it, the process of giving it to their fiance or to their partner to be on Valentine's Day was a great experience. They made it much easier. They love the range, they love the service, all those things that help you to go, well, I'm in the shopping for it. This seems to be a really good option. I'm probably going to do this one, right? The conversion point, though, is at the end of January. So you want to allow enough time in this particular case for the sizing of the rings, the shipping of the rings, all that sort of stuff. And they get across the line, that person who just was almost there but not quite there, they got them across the line by saying, we've got a special offer for you. 10% off with free shipping for all engagement rings. So that's got them across the line from everyone else who's trying to sell rings that hasn't done a special. This particular one has got it across the line. So it might mean you have to give an incentive, or you say, if there's a diamond ring, we've got a thing that will give you a free holiday. You can pay for your, there's services out there that buy unsold inventory in hotels and resorts around the world and allow you to, hey, you get your honeymoon for free if you buy your diamond ring from us. There's actually things you can add on. You don't have to give discounts. You can do add-ons that you can cover in the cost of your particular product or service that help that get across the line. So we looked at Mangata and Gallo and how they would do it. Now let's look at Little Lemon, a Mediterranean restaurant serving quite a lot of Greek-inspired food and a lot of stuff from, say, around Israel, Syria, and Lebanon. Where you got those beautiful flavors and the beautiful like zestiness of flavors that comes through. I do like Mediterranean food. It's just something I've always been very attracted to. With a name like Dante, it's any wonder, really. So Little Lemon's team, they want to reach customers who are interested in ordering the kind of food that they make online for a delivery. They've done the delivery. They've decided delivery is a very good place for them to go because, you know, they're in places where gathering is not perhaps so great. So delivery is a really big option for them. So we look at what their customer journey is, the awareness, the consideration, the conversion, all the same stuff. And then also the when and the how. So their when is they want people to be as soon as possible aware, right, of what they're doing. So what they're going to do is post a lot of information about their ordering online process and delivery, that they actually do this. What people weren't so much not aware of was the restaurant. They may have known the restaurant was in that area and known it for years, but what they didn't realize is that their favorite Mediterranean local restaurant also now delivers. So having information with pictures of delivery orders and that sort of thing of now available online makes people aware that they do it, right? Consideration, though, is 3 to 5 days later to stay on top of mind, and they can post stuff out with what the menu options are and how to then go and place an order on the website or through one of the like Uber Eats or something like that. They'll give you the instruction of how you can place those orders so you can have that beautiful food delivered to you fresh and hot within your local area. And then finally, the conversion is after an additional 3 to 5 days, you can post something like a flash special, which offers something like maybe free delivery on all orders placed within that next 24 or 48 hours. Or it could be something like, for instance, if you order $50 worth of food, we will throw in a packet of prawn crackers. That's probably a bad thing for a Mediterranean restaurant, maybe garlic bread, right? So we'll send you a free garlic pizza if you order in the next 24 hours. So you're giving someone a big reason to rush forward their intention to order food with you because you've offered something that little bit extra. Domino's are the kings of that. They are always doing some kind of special. And they know to email me on a Friday around about lunchtime, because I'm going to be thinking about what I'm doing for food on Friday night. And I tell you, it does pretty well. I reckon one out of every maybe 4 or 5 weeks, I will have Domino's on a Friday night, sitting down watching Netflix. It's a great life I live. Living my best life. Pizza and Netflix, right? So as a takeaway for this, we've learned that the customer journey refers to all those things that a customer is exposed to and goes through on their way from not knowing you to deciding to purchase your particular product or your particular service. Secondly, there are 3 very individual and distinct stages that you go through on the customer journey. There's the awareness, which is where they don't really know anything about you or about the particular thing you're trying to sell. There's consideration, which is where they know about you, they've heard about you, they even want what it is you do, but they're shopping around for different options and different price points. And then at the very end, there's what we call the conversion, which is getting very close to that person, choosing you particularly. And that's where you might want to highlight, why it's so good to go with you, or some kind of offer or limited time product that can get someone across the line from going where they usually go or one of the other options to choosing you in particular. The third point is when you understand your customer's journey, it actually helps you to create a marketing strategy for your business. Now, remember, in the first part of this session, we very much covered all the stuff you'd want to know about how to get inside the head of the customer, understanding what their likes are, their dislikes, knowing that there's a particular kind of customer who's going to be your primary targeted customer, that you've got everything you do is aimed squarely at them, right? But then you'll also have a secondary or even a tertiary customer who still can bring you that great money, but they're not necessarily within that tight target you're going for. By going for your tight target, you could have an advertising campaign or the things that you do on your particular posts on Facebook pages or on Instagram profiles. You're doing that so that you really do appeal to them. But every so often you'll throw in something which appeals to your secondary or your tertiary person as well. Or if you can find a way that really covers all 3 of those kinds of people in one post, you're probably going to be a magician, because when you try to please all, you end up pleasing none. I think that's the Emperor's New Clothes story. If you remember that fable from long, long ago, that he was trying to please everybody by having the most amazing clothing, and he ended up pleasing no one because he ended up, basically going naked down the road. When you understand that customer journey and you understand the motivations and the needs and the wants behind the customers, that's the basis of what your marketing strategy is going to be. When you start to sit down and go, on Monday, I'm going to do this. On Wednesday, I'm going to do this. On Friday, I'm going to do this. Then you've got it already inside your mind of exactly who you're going to target it to. And you're going to understand when to target it to them at that point of the customer journey. And then finally, what you're going to do that. So are you posting to Google My Business, so you get people who are searching for you specifically at that time? Are you posting to Facebook, so you're posting something that's very appropriate to that consideration point, where you're putting out your differentiators, putting out the things that make you very unique amongst your competitors? Or you may be even posting it to something like leaflets in the mail. If you're a local pizza place, putting a flyer in the mail on a Friday is a very good idea, because that's also the time when Domino's are doing their stuff. So if someone's like, oh my God, not Domino's again, I can't do that again, let's do something else, something different. If they see your particular flyer show up in their letterbox or on the front of the car or something like that, then that helps to put someone over the edge into a different decision. You're breaking the pattern of what they might normally do. And then finally, you can map out your customer's journey to help you know when and how to reach your potential customers. You can use this particular outlook. So you can just set up on a bit of paper, put awareness, put consideration, put conversion, and then get when and how, when and how, when and how, and plan out exactly what it's going to be that you're going to do to make someone aware of you, to make someone consider you, make someone convert with you, and what exactly you're going to do to help that happen. The awareness stage could be TV ads. It doesn't have to be Facebook. Consideration can be a Facebook post. Conversion can be a Facebook ad, for instance. So there's different things will lead to different parts of that journey. It doesn't always have to be the same stuff. So thank you so much for going through this journey with me, understanding the motivations behind what the customers, what the customer persona is, what a target audience is, and also how to plan out your journey from taking a customer from not knowing anything about you to being someone who buys straight down the barrel of the gun to buy that thing that you're selling. If you'd like to speak more about this on a one-on-one, you can do that through the ASBAS Digital Solutions program. Just go through to businessstation.com.au. Repeating what I said earlier, if you want to take part in those one-to-ones, your first one is free if you've done none ever before. If you have done one before, your second one will be $44. But if you haven't, if you've done quite a few before, you can have your third or any after that for $66, up to a total of 24 hours of total contact with the program, which includes the time on things like webinars or on workshops or in other one-to-ones. So thank you so much. I look forward to meeting some of you in person on those one-to-ones, and you have a fantastic weekend. And you're probably thinking about buying pizza now, right? That's usually what happens. I talk about pizza on a Friday. Everyone's going to buy pizza now. Should get shares and Domino's, seriously. Thank you, and have a great weekend.